What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Social Media Mindset Podcast. And I'm excited because we're going to go a little bit different direction today than we typically go on the show because it is a special occasion. I have with me today Grant and Lauren Schneider. They are a husband and wife power team. One does mortgage, one does real estate. Their story is unbelievable. And so I cannot wait to share it with you guys. Grant, Lauren, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, Kyle.
Thank you.
So, well, you guys, and y'all are the husband and wife. So I'm not going to control who talks first, who talks second. That's y'all's thing. But I want to just dig into y'all's story. So can we go back to the beginning? I believe, Grant, it started with you getting into mortgage, and I just want people to kind of hear this story.
Sure. Yeah. I'll lead off here. So when I was 20 years old, I kind of tripped into the mortgage industry. And and 36 now, so 16 years in the industry. And I've originated in Colorado Springs my entire career. And it's, a heavy military market. And, about 10, 12 years ago, my career kind of shifted from trying to be all things to everyone to being the VA loan guy here in town. So that's kind of where I got started. Lauren?
So my background's in corporate finance, and I got into the real estate industry right after we had our oldest. We have 4 kiddos, so our oldest is 7.5 now. And I mean, honestly, it was Grant's persuasion that he said, I think there's a need to create a website that caters to the VA buyer. And he kind of painted a picture that it would be a very part-time gig kind of around parenting, which of course we all know it's not, but yeah, that's how I kind of started into it. And I mean, it's been a labor of love. It's been, lots of work, lots of behind the scenes working on technology and blogging and, working on IDX feeds and searches and just all the technical piece of it in addition to the actual real estate transactions. But it's been, a huge blessing.
So there's so many different things that I want to dive into, but I want to remind people what you just said, Lauren, is that y'all are doing all of this while having 4 kids under 7. Is that what I heard? Is that what I heard you say? And so for anybody listening that's like, gosh, this is so hard. Like, I've got 1 kid, I've got 2 kids, I've got 3 kids. What you guys are doing at an unbelievable level is being done with 4 children in the home. You spend a week of the month when you can, at another home out of state. Like, you guys have this just dialed in. And so before we kind of jump into the software piece, right? Because Grant, you guys, you serve mostly veterans. I know you work with anybody, but you strongly serve the veteran community. And so take us back, like, why was the veteran community the community that you really chose to serve?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, paint the picture. It's 2010, 2011 timeframe. We're coming out of the kind of the real estate blow up in 08, 09. And at that point in time, mortgage companies, they're kind of licking their wounds, right? All those fancy subprime loans, they've tightened up guidelines so tight that like every company does the same loan program. And it's super vanilla. It's just basic conventional FHA, VA, and nothing really, there was no loan program that would really make you stand out, right? So I'm sitting there as a guy who's not super good at sales thinking, how am I going to get a real estate agent to work with me? I don't have a niche loan product to show them. Anything that worked in the past, the script was kind of rewritten, not to mention business had slowed quite a bit. And so at that point, I was recruited by a company who focused on VA home loans, right? And at that point I said, I can go out and be the VA loan guy. And at that point, VA loans weren't quite the mainstream program that they are today. A lot of people didn't understand them and would kind of steer the client away from them just because they didn't know really the power of the program. And so I used that was when I first started to niche towards the VA home loan, the military home buyer.
And so you just so people understand, like, you've gone back and forth between literally being the number 1 VA mortgage guy in America to 2, 3, right? Like, you guys are serving this community at just an unbelievable level. So much so that y'all have been committing How many hours would you say that y'all have put in to this new platform that is launching?
We started right when COVID hit.
Oh, wow.
We're huge baseball fans, but we were at spring training in Arizona. The world shut down. We looked at each other and I said, I don't think I'm going to sell another house this year. And he goes, I don't think I'm going to do another mortgage this year. Of course, we know how that actually turned out, but
Right.
that's when this was born.
So talk about, like, tell people what the platform is, how it's going to serve people, like kind of give us the nuts and bolts and the backstory behind it.
Yeah. So what we decided to do is, because we thought we'd have some time on our hands, right? We wanted to be productive, certainly after binge watching Tiger King, right? Then we got to work, like with the rest of America when COVID hit. But up to that point, we had seen some great success with the initial website that we launched, militaryhomesearch.com. And it's a IDX property portal. Think of like Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia.
Yep.
You can go look at homes. But through my years of working with military home buyers, there was a lot of questions that would always come up almost on every file that the consumer had for me, the lender. And I thought, man, if I could give this information to them on demand, it'd make my job a little bit easier and it would provide a true value, right?
Yeah.
And it would really help them kind of stay in our ecosystem that we built. So there's a lot of neat features specific to the military home buyer that kind of come alive when you register on our site. And so what we decided to do was, we're doing really good here locally. Lauren and I are always wanting to grow, right? It's just like, if you're not growing, you're dying kind of thing.
Yeah.
And kind of push ourselves out of our comfort level. So we said, hey, if it works on a micro scale, what about building a national portal that serves the rest of the country? And that is a huge project. And it's blown up a few times already. This is our third iteration of it. And we believe it'll be live before the end of the year. And we're so excited to kind of bring it to market.
So talk us through like the user experience, like how, because you mentioned it's similar to a Zillow or Realtor.com, right? So the average consumer is going to go, then why wouldn't I just go there, right? If it's similar to that. So how does this specifically serve the needs of the military families better than anything else?
The biggest question a typical active duty family has when they have a PCS move, a permanent change of station, is they want to know what is their commute time, because a lot of times they have their physical training early in the morning. They have to get to work at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. And so they will log in with their duty station, and any listing that's clicked on will calculate drive time on Google Maps to that duty station.
Wow.
And that's huge because, you have to remember, like, a spouse deploys, sometimes you're a single parent, that drive time, and with kiddos and with families, like, that's very, very important. Even more importantly, Zillow has a mortgage calculator that's highly inaccurate. It does not pull in accurate property taxes. It doesn't have a great algorithm for homeowners insurance. And it always assumes a 20% down payment, which with a VA loan is just not the case. You can put zero money down. It doesn't know what a VA funding fee. It doesn't know what subsequent uses. If someone's used their funding fee before, it doesn't know how to waive it if there's a certain disability rating. So our VA loan calculator is just so fine-tuned to get a super accurate payment. And then it compares it to what their housing allowance is, which is huge because any active duty member receives a housing allowance, which is, not necessarily intended to cover the whole mortgage payment, but it's a significant portion of it. And so that's what our platform does. And it's been super successful on the local level. So again, just trying to take that on a national scale.
So real quick, just so people understand, like how, y'all may or may not know the exact number, but how many veteran families have you guys helped over the course of your career?
Yeah,
I know my number. I'm 1750, so over 1,700 families.
Wow,
in 7 years, which is really exciting. And I just prepared all these stats because we have a large Christmas party coming up for our client base, and it's literally our favorite time of the year because every year we get 400 or 500 clients to show up, and we have just the coolest celebration. So it's literally this week. But yeah, we are on our way to 1,800 on the military home search side of things. Grant's number, I'm sure, is much, much, much larger.
Yeah, I don't really keep the numbers. I mean, it's important that we help a lot of people, but there's other things that we kind of put our focus on, and that's delivering just kind of a world-class experience. And and, focus on bringing a platform that is as beneficial to us as building our business as it is to the consumer using it. One added piece, Lauren did a great job explaining some of the features of the site, but one thing that's really kind of cool and unique about the national platform is, here on the micro scale, it's pretty easy. My wife's, Lauren's real estate team manages and helps all the leads that come in from that site.
Right.
So one of the added benefits is we are going to partner with the top real estate teams in these other heavy VA markets, and we're looking for veterans, military spouses, or real estate agents with the MRP designation, which is a military relocation professional. So we're going to partner with the cream of the crop who've either been there, done that. They used to serve in the military, or were a military spouse, or they've taken that extra time to get that certification. So when you partner, when you use our platform and you get connected with a real estate agent in our network, you're working with the cream of the crop. They know what you're going through. They know how to handle your situation a little bit different than your typical home buyer who may already live there in the city, right? So that's one added benefit to.
I love that. So how will the realtors that listen to this podcast, other than having the designation, how do they, what's their steps to kind of getting in touch with you guys, so that they could potentially be on that list?
Well, we're organically building this. So we're making connections, we're networking. I mean, just a simple phone call, email, we're having conversations every day. And
Great.
It is, Grant's right. It's really important that everyone we partner with is really skilled in the VA loan product and the VA transaction, because it's kind of this mystical transaction if you're not used to it. There's certain markets where you'll submit an offer and the listing agent will say, we just don't accept VA offers because the appraisal always comes in low. Or there's these, certain things that you have to kind of be able to talk through and explain and educate your fellow agents about, because it's an amazing loan program. Our VA buyers are some of our strongest buyers when we stack up the different loan programs, but there's a lot of just kind of knowledge misconstrued out there. And so, our job is to also educate, the agent on the other side of the transaction so that we can get our clients the best results.
So why do you guys think there is so many misconceptions out there about the VA loan? Why are so many realtors so quick to be like, ugh, I don't want to deal with the VA loan, when you're saying, right, it's such a strong product, some of your strongest buyers are on that product? What's that disconnect?
Yeah, I just don't think people have taken the time to truly educate themselves. And this is what goes back to truly working with a professional on both sides of the transaction when you're a military home buyer, And so there's just misinformation, and sometimes it's education from the military, even as well, from their finance department. And so the problem is if a real estate agent really took the time to dive into the program, they would realize it's probably one of the strongest offers they can accept. And then what's unfortunate is they'll look at the pre-approval letter and notice that they're not putting any money down. So the assumption is these are weak buyers. They don't have money to put down. Well, how can you assume that? They don't need to. And frankly, it's a little upsetting because they've earned this benefit, right? Protecting our country. And then we're going to look down upon it. So, we've made it our mission to really get the word out and educate and, advocate for the VA home loan benefit, because that's what it is. It's a benefit, right? It's only available to those who've honorably served our country. And so we've done a great job here locally. And we hope that, with our new project, we can continue to, demystify the program and really advocate for it.
So what would you recommend for the realtors that listen that they've never worked with a VA buyer before? What should their next step be to go get more educated? Should they go sign up to go get the designation? Are there specific steps for that?
Yes. Well, absolutely sign up to become a military relocation professional in MRP, but more importantly, find a great lender. Grant's team is the top in the country. Just a quick, and we're all so happy to jump on the phone, do a Zoom, but get educated by them. Grant's team comes in and does, monthly meetings with my team just to kind of bring us up to speed on, okay, here's the new loan limits for next year. Here's what we're seeing in terms of VA assumptions. And it's constantly changing, and we have to have that cutting edge knowledge if we want to serve our clients and, have success.
Absolutely. Where will people go when this launches? Is this an app? Is it is it a website? Is it like how will people find it?
Yeah. So it's a website right now. Future plans of converting it to an app, but on initial launch, you'll just go to MilPCS.com. And MilPCS stands for, military for short, and then PCS is that permanent change of station. So it's what we're focusing on. It's when that military family, they receive those orders and they have 60, 90 days to uproot their family and go to a new market they know nothing about. That's unique. Most people, when they're buying a new home, they've planned for it for a while. They're not being forced, their hands not being forced. These people are receiving these orders in the mail, and it's saying, hey, you've got 60 days, you're reporting in Colorado Springs. And we want to be here. We want to be their eyes and ears on the ground and their advocates to get them into a home that's going to meet their family's needs and do it in a fashion that, doesn't add to their stressful situation.
Right. It's so when Grant, when you and I were talking a couple weeks ago, as just a guy that's like, my family's never been in the military. I've never been in the military. When you were talking to me about how most of these families max, they're given 90 days notice, oftentimes much less. But then to consider that one of the spouses may not even be in our country at the time of that order, it just makes what you guys are doing like so much more impactful, because that's an unbelievable burden to have to bear.
Yeah, I mean, we moved 10 miles a couple of years ago, and I will never move again, right? In a city that I grew up in, so
Yeah.
you think of that way. And then now you're going to a place where you don't know anyone, right? You don't know anything about the city. It's on the military schedule, not yours. And yeah, there's so many factors that you can add to that story that we deal with every day. The military, the service member may be, at training with limited communication or overseas deployed. And so these are the things that when you've, Lauren and I haven't served in the military, but we've served the military for so long, we'll never say that we know what it's like to have served, but we've learned so much, and each transaction is so unique. But we feel like we can deliver an experience unlike anyone else to really take on that burden for them, and build that trust that, hey, we're going to take care of this home purchase process while you're taking care of things back at your old duty station. We've got you down. We've got you on the ground here,
I love it. And I've got to ask, because, obviously my show is social media based, and, Grant, we've been doing some starting to do some video stuff. And this is kind of like, this has been uncomfortable because this is new and it's intimidating. Like what's the experience been like, getting more comfortable in front of the camera? Lauren, this is your first podcast to be on, and you've done an amazing job, by the way. What's it been like trying to be better online? It's
difficult though, because if you think about it, Grant's mortgage team is not, it's not Grant Schneider Mortgage. I'm not Lauren Schneider Real Estate Team. Like, we've built our brands around Military Home Search, MilPCS, and Movement Mortgage, and we love being like the shadow behind the brand. We love pushing the brand, and we hate putting our faces to the brand, because it's so much more fun to, like, we call it like our fifth child, our sixth child. We're building these businesses that are so much bigger than ourselves. So I know it's uncomfortable for me. I know it's uncomfortable for Grant, but we'll learn.
Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest thing that it comes down to is, like, we really believe in what we're doing, right? And in the past, like I said, we've been able to be super successful kind of living in the shadows of the brand. And that's where our comfort is going. But sometimes you got to push outside that comfort level, right? And, we believe in the mission so much and this new stage in our business that we need to be the advocates for it, right? We need to get out in front of it and make sure that everyone knows about it, because I think it's really has an opportunity to change how, military families handle their next purchase.
And I think that's spot on. If you don't believe in it, then you won't have the gumption. You won't have the desire. Like, we could both tell that, Lauren, you didn't really want to be a part of the podcast. That's not what you would have chose to do first today, but you were like, this is my business. Like, I can't not be here. And that's the willingness that I think a lot of our industry doesn't have, because they just don't have that belief in themselves and in what they're fighting for. It's breathed through both of you guys, the passion that you have for this. And so I'm so honored to be able to introduce MilPCS.com to my audience, to hopefully people beyond this audience, because that's the power of social media. And so any last parting words about MilPCS that we didn't touch on before we wrap up?
Well, I think what we're most proud of is we always talk about coming from such a strict corporate background myself. Like, we run our businesses like businesses, and we just pride ourselves on professionalism and excellent service and building out our processes and our standard operating procedures. And I think what we're most looking forward to as we build our network of like-minded agents is finding a similar level of professionalism and willingness to run, their micro businesses the same way we run our macro business. And I mean, if my client's in Kuwait and I need to do a 2 a.m. Zoom call, my alarm goes off at 1:30 and I'm doing that 2 a.m. Zoom call. And that's that's what we expect of everyone we work with. All of my agents on my team, I mean, they handle themselves the exact same way I do. And that's why we've been able, you mentioned we're trying to get away a week, a month, and we really are. And our business is still run on autopilot because we've trained our team to act just like us. And that's what our clients deserve. Our industries have a bad reputation, I think, in terms of, what kind of degree of professionalism, is delivered. And we handle it differently.
I love it.
Yeah. One thing to add to that, Kyle, that I take a lot of pride in is the jobs that we've been able to create as we started out as just Lauren was the only agent, right? And then she started growing her team. And almost every agent on her team is a past client.
Yep.
Who was a veteran, who was probably active duty when they were a past client. And they went through our system, right? And by going through that system, I did their mortgage, Lauren helped them find a home, it inspired them enough that when it was time for them to get out of the military, or maybe they're still in the military and their spouse decided to join our team. But that's what's more important than anything is how you can touch other people's lives. And now those people are touching more lives, right? And so we continue to help more and more people every year. And that's what truly makes us special is we've been able to create great employment for our past clients who have used us. And that means a lot to us. So they'd come back and actually want to work with us, right?
It's incredible. Yeah, the calling that you guys have for this, right? Like, y'all aren't doing jobs. Like, I would say y'all are living in your calling. Like, God designed you to do this in this moment, and it's incredible. There's way more at stake than just sticking signs in a yard and getting people pre-approval letters. And so I'm so appreciative of you guys for coming on. Thank you for being here. I can't wait to see how this plays out. And it's been unbelievable. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having us, Kyle.
Thank you.
So, guys, go check out MilPCS. You can find Grant and Lauren. You probably won't really find them on social media, right? They live in the shadows of the business. They're not trying to plaster their faces everywhere like most of the people in this industry are. But you'll be able to reach out to them through there. We'll be back soon with probably not two people as cool as these two, but we're going to do our best. We'll see you next week.